hopefully. We introduced three different organizations, and we especially discuss about the first of this organization and describe what are their responsibility or their goals, what they wanted to do, what they actually doing so far. They had some plan, for example, review the current policy, uh, checking the current practice, give some updates. But now we just skip that one because we discussed. We want to check the second organization related to the health and safety. Well, you can see the abbreviation stands for National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and it started to operate or work since long time ago, 1992. I think it should be somehow older than most of you or all of you. Well, still younger than me. And okay, this is not important from when they start to work, but what is have a value is to know and learn what is their goal, what is their profit for the industry, for the construction industry, or in any industry. Let's see. They have some responsibility. First of all, number one, you can see here, provide, they want to provide training for the workers. If you don't know, I hope you know, but if you don't really get attention, you must know, without a proper training, the chance of the accident will really could increase. But proper training can eliminate majority of the accident or incidents on the site or in general in the industry. So it's good. What they do is good. So the next one, they want to organize in exhibition that happen to be sometimes in around the city in to show maybe new equipment, to share the current practice toward the safety. Okay, this is good. Let's see, number three, they also collaborate in the conference and seminar. How they want to do that? They have to come with a new research. They do some research, and the result of research will be shared in the conferences. This is exactly what you're gonna do in the future when you're going to have your FYP. Any FYP, especially in UTHM, before you submit your thesis, you must submit a conference paper or journal paper, technical paper. It doesn't matter what we call it. It's the result of your thesis. For example, when your thesis become 100 pages or 60 pages, 120, and it doesn't matter the pages right now, you make it shorten, you make it smaller, or summarize it to 5 or 6 pages. That's what we call the result of the research. So result of the research will be shared or submitted to the conferences. Normally, when we say the result of research, first they have to find a problem. For example, the problem is the current of incident is increasing every day, every year, on the construction site. So what they do, they would choose a method, for example, interview with the project manager on the construction site, with 5, with 10, with 15 construction manager or project manager, and ask them question. Then they uh, categorize all the answer from them and get a conclusion. What we can do to decrease the number of accidents. Then that paper, that result can be published in the conference. So let's go back. Who is going to do that? The National Institute, yes, of Occupational Safety and Health. Okay, you see, their result, their job, their responsibility are unique, different from the previous institute or organization. And finally, support industry in their safety and health campaign activities. Okay, uh, how much they support or how they support, we didn't mention here. If you're interested, you can do research. Is that support is uh, in which way? By providing some facility, by financially, or any other way. Anyway, now let's check what is the third organization. The history of this organization is older than the number one and number two, because number one, 1994, number two, 1992, but this one is quite old, even older than me, 1971. So they established this organization under the employee social security, and they call it like such as Act 4. Under this scheme, under this institute they're organized, they have uh, main goal, big goal, such as worker, any workers, either in construction industry, either in factories, anywhere. Please remember, we are not yet focused on the construction industry, but whole industry. Wherever you can see a factory, wherever you can see there are some operation has operating, has doing, has accomplished, workers are protected against any type of accident that happen on the workplace. Not if that accident happened in the house of the worker or on the way, go back home or go to work, okay? But related somehow should be contributed to the work and the workplace. And remember, they want that all of this organization, three organization, purpose is following the human right on the workplace. So what is the function of this institute? Because if you remember, just actually we discussed, I'm sure you remember, the previous one had some goal like training the workers, collaborate in the exhibition. They wanted to publish some research paper in the conferences. But this one, let's see. This organization actually have registration for the worker, employer and employee, both of them. So when they registration, they can prove that uh, they are working and they can get advantage if in any case some accident or injury happen to them. If they not registered, What happened?
Mm,
Yes, they cannot claim any, for example, any advantage, any money for their accident. So remember, any worker, an employee, when you find a job very soon after you finish your study, I think you might graduate by the next year. Am I right? Most of
Yes.
you. Yes, right? Okay, okay, good. So you going to look for job, you're looking for a job, any maybe anything you like. It's up to you. You can be start with a small job and day by day, year by year, improve yourself and get a better opportunity. So you will see the employee employee need to register you under organization. So in case, hopefully never happen something, you're always healthy, but if in case we don't know about the future and we don't know about the future, but we know the construction industry is a dangerous place. So we must be prepared. In any case, something happened, the insurance follow and cover the damage. Next one, the second objective of this organization, collecting contribution, processing benefit claim, and make the payment to the worker who had injured on the site or on industry, on the factory. You see, they're going to cover and make a payment, some benefit. The payment is not only limited to the amount that the worker spends in the medical center or hospital. No, it also cover, we call it benefit, right? It also cover by the number of the day that worker cannot go back to the works. Like if the worker need 1 week rest, that 1 week he must receive a salary while he resting to recover. And the number three, provide vocational and physical rehabilitation benefits. These are the responsibility for this institute. So you can see it's very good. They really protect the worker. So there are some legal agreement you can read later. It's for a student read, economic agreements and humanitarian agreements. Study, definitely read it carefully, okay? So we again go back to the main question. Why the ocean is important? How much advantage can the society receive by the ocean? I didn't say how much you. I take a look on the bigger picture. How much the society received by ocean, right? Okay, let's see. The goal of the ocean is to provide a safe place for the workers, for the all workers. There is no exception. The OSH will not say, uh, like, okay, I like you, Jairo, let's protect you, but I don't like you, for example, another student here. He cover everyone. He look at all of you at the same way. So the employee can remain motivated because you as a worker in the future, you have a You can call it a free mind, right? You work in the place, but you don't really worry if my hands get injury, the owner of the lab, of the industry, of the factory will not give me support if I need 2 days MC rest. You know, you have a full support from the OSH. So this may increase your creativity. You will be brave on the job and you try your best to do your job in the best way. I think this is really priceless. If you uh, just imagine you currently working right now. You finish your study and you start working and you have a free mind. And if you want to understand why the ocean is important, think vice versa. Think you go to work thinking like that. You're going to work today, and the employee told you if you catch a cold and stay home, I won't pay you your salary for as long as you need time to recover. That's quite unfair, right? Yeah. So I just give you example of catch a cold, but uh, the correct example is the injury. I just didn't want you to really get worried. You are healthy and it's very good. The OSH avoid any violence at the workplace and formation of the safety program that are meant to teach the employees to handle the risk because uh, this kind of job that we discuss, like in factory, some factory, they are really vulnerable to uh, many accident or a dangerous place. You can just Google or in searching the YouTube, the factory, they manufacture steel. That's the danger. The accident is will be very intense in that factory compared to the factory that they just produce some computer components. So you can see they really need some rules or act to support them. So the OSH concept you can read here. Here we offered 6 different management and workers must, yes, of course they need to cooperate, collaborate. Top management must take the lead and direct the task and the job on the perfect line, on the right path. Yeah, right path is the best word I can use. A define of known safety and health policy, organize and resource to achieve the policy and best available knowledge and methods. This knowledge and method is the goal, if you remember, which I'm sure you remember, is the goal of the those organizations that we discuss. For example, they provide training for the workers or they publish new knowledge to improve the common information of the employee and employers. Now, when we say OSH, we are literally are talking about some law, some rules, right? So always we can expect something goes wrong. In some countries who have a more update rules, maybe the number of accidents decreased or lower compared to other countries that maybe they have not rigid rules for the safety. There might be witness with more accidents. Now, uh, let's see what is the statutory law and common law and their differences. Give me a second. Let's watch a YouTube link. Okay, let me know when I play this video. Let me know if you are able to hear. Can you hear?
No.
No, cannot hear. Okay, give me a second. It's almost 30 minutes of the class passed. Afira and two other students, why you so late? It's almost 9:30. Please join next week on time, before 9. Okay? Not only three of you, whoever late today, because many times I go back to the first page. You want to join the class, please do it on time. Otherwise, it's okay. Okay. So let's see. Uh, try again, actually, because I think previous semester we had the same problem, but it's rectified by itself. I played the video again, and please let me know if you can hear or not. Yes?
I still cannot hear you.
Oh, cannot hear. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, okay. I think I know how to fix it. Okay. Let's watch now.
When new decisions.
Yes?
Okay, yes, there is a sound.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So let's watch it and see what is this about. There are two different laws. Okay. We want to understand uh, what are the differences between these two laws. We will share later why even we have two laws, but for now, let's just learn their differences.
Common law, also known as case law, arises when new decisions are made by judges
New decisions are made. Okay.
in courts. On the other hand, statutory law, also known as written law, is the one which is set down by a legislature.
Okay. You can see the first law is by the judge, but second one, it's already written by, for example, parliament already. Let's watch again.
In courts. On the other hand, statutory law, also known as written law, is the one which is set down by a legislature. Common law tend to be instructive in nature, while statutory law is prescriptive. In the case of common law, a judge is prescriptive.
Again, you can see the common law and the difference. The left one, uh, has not really mentioned in any book, but it came from the judgment of the uh, court or anybody who was responsible there.
In the case of common law, while
Okay.
statutory law tend to be instructive in nature, while statutory law is prescriptive. In the case of common law, a judge refers to similar cases
In case of common law, judge refer to similar cases in the past and make a decision, which means there is no rigid rules or law to just make a decision. If there was, maybe there was no need for the judge, right? So it came from that judge experiment. And how he can judge? Because he already study, he already just like you, how study and learn something in this class or university. The judge is the same person. He already learned many years in the university and also get experience from the previous cases.
in the past and makes a decision. In some cases, the judgment passed by the judge becomes the new law. Hence, you can have pure common law, where the judgment passed becomes the new law, provided there are no existing statutes applicable. On the other hand, you can also have interstitial common law, where the judge interprets the existing law and determines distinctions and boundaries. Precedent is a key factor in common law. The English common law originated in the Middle Ages. Currently, 1/3 of the world's population, that's about 2.5 billion people, live in common law jurisdictions. I should also mention here that even though statutory laws are passed by the legislature, they're subjected to the higher constitutional laws. One other point I should mention here is about civil law legal systems, which are based on Roman law. Here, codes and statutes are designed to cover all possibilities, and judges have a more restricted role of applying the law. So to summarize, common law relies on judgments passed by judges, and statutory law deals with statutes passed by legislature.
Okay, this is the best part of this tutorial video. Carefully, I want to repeat again. Please carefully read. What are the difference here?
Relies on judgments passed by judges.
Common law relies on the judgment passed by the judge, and
And
statutory law
statutory law deals with statutes passed by legislature.
passed by.
A common law system gives significant importance to judges and their judgments, while civil law system relies on codes that are framed to cover all cases. Though many people live in common law jurisdictions, according to the CIA World Factbook, 150 countries follow civil law system and 80 follow common law systems.
Okay. Well, I guess the video had really good information for us, but in case we want to just have a quick review, you can see the statutory law and the common law. Have some differences. Okay, in common law, action decide only if there is damage or loss happen. You remember the common law had judge, right? And he made decision or she made decision based on the previous cases and experiment. Okay, so only needed if some damage happened, which means if there's no damage happen, there is no need for a common law. On the other hand, statutory law, there is a penalty provided for a breach regardless even if damage happen or doesn't happen. Okay, so the category of the OSH legislation are divided in the two main category: the basic and general legislation, which also have divided into factory machinery, occupational safety, and number two, control specific chemical and industrial activities. Well, also covered by 5 different uh, industry, let me put it this way, such as electricity, petroleum, atomic energy, and another two. So that's all. But this is just an introduction and beginning. Okay? Don't expect that all the detail be revealed to you in just few slides. So any question do you have, please share with the class. No question. Okay. Okay, good, good. Let's see. Let's continue. Now we want to go further and go to more detail, not only because what we actually discussed so far are very general and common knowledge about the OSH. We have not focused on connection between the OSH and our job, which is happen on the construction site. In the next pages, we see more detail related to our job. So, Occupational Safety and Health, 1994. This actually 1994, also they call it Act 514 or 540, is a piece of Malaysian legislation which has been gazetted on 25th February 1994 by the Malaysian Parliament. So, is this common act, rules, or a statutory one, you think? It should be statutory
Actually,
law. Yes, correct, because it's already written. When we see some rule or the parliament sets some new rules, these rules must have some objective. What is the objective? How you can interpret, explain the word of the objective? Have you think about that? First of all, if there is a rule or act or law, new law, for example, they approve, but the law have not objective, will be that law will be useless, because without objective we can translate it like that. We don't needed that law. We don't apply that law. Therefore, any law must have objective, must have some uh, what I should call it, some purpose, something to achieve. For example, the law 1994 has been approved to achieve some goals. That's what we call as an objective. They want to explain in the objective, we want to do this, we want to do that. Let's read together. For example, number one, to secure the safety and health and welfare of the person or worker at work against the risk. So this becomes their objective, means they approve that law to achieve the secure place for the worker against any risk that might happen. If the objective is uh, more precious, have more value, so that law is very good, or I can say we can understand how much we needed that law in our life. By the life means the workplace here. So apparently this rule 1994 is one of the uh, very important law in current situation at the workplace. To understand what are this law, you can study the next pages, which is for a student read. We don't need just review it, but you can see there are different sections, such as section 15, which is related to general duty of employers and self-employed. Section 16, formulate a written safety and health policy. Section 17.1, 17.2, section 18, section 19, for example, mention a person who contravenes the provisions of section 15, 16, 17, and 18, which is are here, means whoever has not followed or interrupt this section, these rules, shall be guilty of offense and shall be conviction to liable, either pay maximum 50,000 or maximum 2 years or in imprisonment or both. Who will decide that? Judge, based on the experiment and based on the previous cases in the same field. There are other section 26. The employers may not charge employees for the things done or provided in the act, and section 27, 29. This is for a student read. That's why I'm skipping. You just can study later. Don't undervalue this section. This is so clear. That's why it's for a student read. Section 24, 25. Okay. You can see it's all related to some negligence and recklessness on the uh, industry that may happen by the, for example, the worker. And it tried, this rule, these sections try to avoid if somebody not do their job properly or purposely make an accident. This rule can hinder people to create a dangerous situation and dangerous place. For example, if in the factory, the employer, the boss, let's just talk very general way. needs to provide some equipment so the worker not happen to cut their hand with the big machine. For example, the machine which cut the woods or lumber or timber. That boss must provide that equipment, but he didn't do that. Maybe he wanted save the money or any other purpose. So therefore, they put some fine, or you call it, I think, saman, right? Maximum fine, for example, 20,000 ringgit, or maximum imprisonment 2 years. You can see this is for our own safety, to bring a health in the workplace. Should I explain why health is important? I guess you already know. Okay, so you can see this law is to protecting you. It's uh, nothing against your wishes or your willing. It's toward your happiness. Maybe you already worked 10 years in one factory. In during this time, you were never seen any accident. Just imagine. I can tell you, it might related for this current rule, because the owner of that facility, that factory, aware of this fine, and that all boss already provided all the security or secure machinery, safe machinery. That's why you have never seen any accident there. So you can see, I go one step behind. It because you have the safe place because of this rule, and we have to appreciate that. It's not against our uh, willing. It's toward our happiness and health. So okay, then we also have another law related to factory and machinery. We call it FMA 1967. Well, you can see this not new, has been practiced for many years in Malaysia. This law that we are reviewing are related to and practicing in the Malaysia. So this is mostly related to the factory and machinery and covers, maybe better say only covers, occupational safe health in manufacturing. One of the job that you might have, some of you, maybe if you're interested, maybe you in the future, you might work in the factory. Am I talking about the, for example, factory for some electrical components, electrical machine, TV, factory of the machine like car? No. We in the building industry, we having a factory. So many engineers, civil engineers, working in the factory. Do you know what kind of factory I'm talking about?
Factory machinery.
Do you know any factory related to construction industry? Refer to your imagination. What kind of factory we could work as a civil engineer?
Battery engineering.
Uh,
Yes, Zahrul?
Concrete factory.
Concrete factory. Yeah. Thank you. That's very simple answer and correct one. You don't need to only search for job
Facility.
in the construction company. There are so many factories, they needed civil engineer. But I want to think more. What kind of factory that also need your knowledge as a civil engineer? Because concrete factory maybe not really you can put all your energy there. They just need to know some formulate to mixing the aggregate and cement. Do you know any other factory that you can use your information, your ability as a civil engineer there? One of the factory that need a civil engineer is the IBS factory. What is IBS? Have you ever heard about this word?
Yes.
What is that? It stands for what?
Industrialized building system.
Yes. And you know what they do in this factory? They engineer, they prefabricated building components such as they built the whole concrete wall in the factory. The factory might be very far from the site. What is the site? The place that we build our building. Sometimes the factory might be 100 kilometers away, right? So in that case, this factory need an engineer because yes, they might produce, manufacture, or better said, they might construct a repetitive building every day, but not always like that because based on the building plan, sometimes they have to change their pattern. So they need to create different size of the room, kitchen, bathroom. So everything will be constructed on the factory and transferred by lorry to the site. So you can see this rule, this law, how relevant to civil engineer, manufacturing, construction industry. So this rule is the conclusion. This rule is relevant to our job scope as a civil engineer. So this rule try to provide control of the factory with respect to matters relating to the safety of the workers, registration of the machinery, and also inspection of the machinery, and any other relevant issue. So worker that covered by the law. We just talked factory and machinery, 1967, right? The worker that covered by this law, there are only 24% of the total manpower. But the worker who covered by the OSHA, they almost 90% of the whole manpower. You can see, clearly you can see, because there is a big gap between 24% and 90%. What we understand from this statistic is the attention and care for OSHA are much higher for the factory and machinery related to the manpower. So this regulation under 1967, there are so many categories they have covered, and this one you can see is related to the construction, building operation, and works of engineering construction. The others are related to the different category, such as you see mineral, noise,
Ay, tonight,
administration, person in charge. I just read randomly, uh, electric passengers, but only here we have one rule that specifically contributed to our job. So let's see what kind of information this rule have for us. Does have anything that we can say it's useful or not? So they call it as this abbreviate. You can read it if you like, but I'm just uh, try to limit it to read the whole sentence for you. B stand for building, O for operations and workers of engineering construction. So this law or rule forced or applied from the 1st October 1986. Well, it's quite old, and it's have covered a different issue in the construction industry. I want just you to take a look. It can be related to the operation. However, the operation should be cut and paste here, because first we have the construction, and any renovation in the building, if happened, sometime normally the renovation of the building is not happen 1, 2, 5, or even 10 years after the construction finish. Normally happen 20 or 30 years after. Repair, maintenance, demolition, which is the last stage of the building. In that stage, when demolition happens, it means the building already are not suitable to be a shelter for human. Demolition happens when lifespan of the building has finished. How do we know?
Ah,
Because we, based on the experience, we know if this
yeah,
building
okay.
constructed from concrete or
It is me.
steel, it can work up to 50 years. It can stay stable up to 100 years. It's definitely depend on the material, depend on the climate, depend on the countries. For example, one country are very vulnerable to the earthquake. So that might affect on the lifespan of the building, right? So expert can simply say when is the end of lifespan of the building now need to be demolished. Even okay, why I'm talking about that? I want to say even when we decide to demolish this building, one building, regardless, it's one story or 10-story building. Even during that time, there are some law
Belum WC.
and rules that must be followed. Demolition building is a complex process, complicated. It's not like we take one bulldozer and finish the process in 10 minutes, okay? It's a very dangerous as well. So the conclusion is the law even cover until the last stage of building lifespan, which is the demolition. This is actually very good that we always thinking the law is there for our safety, not only in the construction stage, but in the renovation stage.
Hả? Boleh je. Asalkan adik ni.
Until the last.
Tapi kan harus.
Okay? So this sentence also they mention the same thing as above, we already discussed. And in any construction industry, there are a different person with different rule. We have contractor, a person who has entered into a contract normally by collaborating, incorporating in the bidding process. What is the bidding? I think you already know. Bidding. If you don't know, let me explain. Okay, that's how we can find the contractor. So this person will responsible to handle the project. Sometimes the contractor will fulfill whole project. Sometimes they are subcontractor. They are only responsible to do part of the construction job. Anyway, this we just want to know at this stage who is the contractor. Contractors, safety supervisor, designate person, employer. I think it's very obvious. Main contractor, professional engineer. There are people
Dia ambil cara kau nak tubik.
who are
Tai.
responsible to fulfill
Gitu.
the
Banyak kali kan
safety
kita
and health law in the construction. So next time, if you work in the place and if you are one of these people, it means it's also your job to follow and to apply the safety rules, which is adjusted with the current law we discussed already in this section. So you might ask yourself or ask me, don't be shy, please. If you have any question, please just ask. we all learning. You learn something, I'm every day learn something, and our information never reach to the level that we can claim we don't need to know anymore. So if you have any question, always feel free to ask. Let's come back here. I just said if you have one of those responsibility on the project, you must follow the rules. So what rules I'm talking about? Take a look here. There are some parts like part 2 general provision, part 3 concrete work, part 4 structural steel, and part 5 have provide some more detail about the safety. For example, cleaning, repair, maintenance of roof, gutters, windows, lowers, and the ventilation of the building. So precaution procedures must be applied when the worker working on the roof, because the roof, especially in the climate like Malaysia, we have a rainy season or raining most of the year. All the roofs constructed in the shape of steep. We have so it can help the rain move more easy from the roof, actually, except your faculty. Okay, most of the building in your faculty is just flat roof, but I'm talking about generally in Malaysia. You can see in that kind of the situation, for example, the roof, the worker must use instruments that can guarantee their safety. As you can see in the picture, this equipment have some details, as you can see in this slide, so it can protect them. Here actually they provide two different methods. You can see here the roof grab system, which costs a little cheaper or much cheaper. I don't know current price at this moment, compared to another method, self-retracting lifeline, because this one is cost more because it gives this freedom to the worker to move much easier and faster when they're working on top of the roof. So anyway, for our concern is not at this moment is using expensive equipment or cheaper equipment. No, we just want to be sure the worker use the safe equipment. That's it. How much we spend for our equipment is depend on the so many items such as our budget. But as long as we provide this equipment in the project, so which means you follow the law. Another item, catch platforms. You can see it's better actually we see the picture much more easier. Look at here, the construction process running. Any moment, any second, there is a chance that something fall from top of the building. Especially here, you can see the multi-story building. If accidentally hammer fell from the worker hands while he working on the 7-story, do you know how hard it can hit to the floor? Not hammer, brick, block, anything. It can create very heavy damage, especially if that hit to somebody there. Sometimes they're worker there, sometimes just pedestrian, right? So they need to provide, as you can see, a green color, I think is very obvious in this picture. This protect to grab or catch anything that fall from the height. Another picture. Yeah, okay, the quality is good. Take a look here. The worker busy doing something. This net is something like a net can eliminate the object fall to the floor. So don't think, what if we not install this, okay? That's why we have this subject. That's why we talk so much about the law and the summon that need to pay if they not install this. Okay? I hope you get my point. Okay, another issue about the safety, I think this very obvious. You can study later. The other items such as runways, ramps, ladder, scaffolds, demolition, excavation work, material handling, and storage, use and disposal, piling. Why we go repeating so many items? Is because in all these tasks, safety rules must be accomplished, must be conducted. Blasting, use of explosive, which is we barely see around us, because one of the reason I think we barely see is simply because they use this blasting and explosive when they need to demolish the high-rise building. 20-story building needed to be demolished. How you think they're going to demolish? Many years ago, I think by many years, like 6 years ago, I teach this in one of the subjects, the process of the demolition building. I just want to give you a hint, very short story. When they want to demolish the building, first they separate the building component for all the story. For example, windows, doors, any component like that need to be removed from the building structure first. And in the last stage, they attach the explosive material to the column in the first or second floor of the building. And they exploiting at the same time. So the whole building collapse straight to the base. They not fall left or right. So this operation are not really easy. It's dangerous because something is exploited, right? So I want just remind you something. The current law also covered this process. And the end of our discussion. Do you have any question? Please feel free to share with me and with the class.
The clothes. Từ đi.
question or no question? I didn't hear your voice.